Hello, dear learners. Welcome to chemistry lecture. I am Professor Makaran Kulkarni from Sanjivani College of Engineering. We are talking or discussing for unit number 1 water technology. Let us start the lecture number 3 for water technology. Friends, in today's lecture, what we are going to discuss water quality parameters in which acidity and alkalinity, ill effects like sludge and scale, caustic embrittlement, that is a concept of caustic embrittlement. Let us start with the water quality parameters. Quality of water determined before entering into boiler is nothing but the water quality parameters. There are some parameters suggested before using water into boiler for getting the steam. Those are alkalinity of water, acidity of water, chlorides in water. So it is required to discuss or to determine the quantity of alkalinity, acidity as well as chlorides in water before entering water into boiler. Let us start with the first parameter, that is alkalinity of water sample. Now, why it is necessary to determine the alkalinity is the important question. Friends, we know that boiler material is made up of iron, and if a water is acidic, that iron material may undergo corrosion. For solving this problem, we have to add some basic material into the water to decrease the acidity. But what happens if a water is more alkaline, then also it causes the many harmful effect on the inside wall of the boiler, and to overcome this, to avoid this, it is required to determine the alkalinity of water sample. Water sample is alkaline due to the presence of either hydroxides, bicarbonates and carbonates, compounds dissolved in a water. So these three are the mainly constituents, those are responsible for the total alkalinity of water. So in short, if we have to calculate the total alkalinity of given water sample, we should know the amount of hydroxide, amount of bicarbonates or amount of carbonate present in that water. Now, how they reacted, look at here. If hydroxide is present, how to determine that? We have to add acid, because all these three are basic or alkaline in nature. So to calculate the quantity of hydroxide, we have to add the amount of H plus. So why H plus is chosen? Because it is common for all these three, because we are getting the stable product. Like OH minus reacted with the acid get H2O, carbonate get by that HCO3 minus, and HCO3 minus when reacted with the acid it converted into H2 and CO2. So look at here, for example water, when we are going to do the titration of water sample with the acid, this you have to perform in practical also. So to determine the alkalinity of any water sample, we have to imagine that maybe water contains all these three, like hydroxide, carbonate and bicarbonate. So what we have to do, we have to titrate that water by adding or with the acid. So just imagine your first reading, you are adding what, acid from the burette, and in conical flask you have taken what, a water sample. It may contains hydroxide, carbonate or bicarbonate, we don't know. So we have to use here two indicator. First we have to add phenolphthalein in the water. When you add a phenolphthalein, color will change to pink. Then we have to start the addition of H plus, that is acid from the burette to the conical flask. We can get the end point, that is colorless. When the pink color of the water converted to colorless, that we have to mention as a V1. So this V1 value indicates the amount of all OH minus and half the quantity of CO32 minus present, if present, in that water sample. In the same water sample, now what is remain? Bicarbonate. We have to add another indicator, that is methyl orange indicator. If bicarbonates are present, it will convert to yellow, and that again you have to titrate with the acid, same quantity from the same we have to add. Then when it changes to orange, we can get the end point orange, that is V2, and that is the quantity of remaining half of CO32 minus and SCO3 minus. So V1 and V2 gives us the idea or amount of the hydroxide, carbonate as well as bicarbonate. Now let us discuss with the calculation. Now how to calculate the phenolphthalein alkalinity? We know that phenolphthalein alkalinity is nothing but the amount of hydroxide as well as half quantity of the carbonate. It is calculated by this formula V1 into Z into 50 into 1000 ppm of calcium carbonate equivalent upon V. V is nothing but the amount of water sample we have taken. Similarly, for methyl orange alkalinity, we have to use the formula V2 into Z into 50 into 1000 ppm of CaCO3 equivalent upon V. Now what is the V1? Is the phenolphthalein endpoint, V2 is the methyl orange endpoint, V is the volume of water taken, and Z is the normality of acid that we are adding or titrating with the water from the burette. Okay, after alkalinity, second one is acidity of water. Acidity of water is its quantitative capacity to react with the strong base to designated the pH. So again, acidity means what? If the quantity of acid ions increases in a water, that water becomes more acidic. It is exactly opposite to the alkalinity. Now total acidity in milligram per liter is calculated by A into B into 50 into 1000 upon V. What is the A? It is the ml of NaOH from the burette. B is the normality of NaOH and V is the volume of water sample taken. So what we have to do in this to determine the acidity, exactly opposite titration we have to perform that we have done in alkalinity in the first slide that we have discussed for the alkalinity. What happened there? We are titrated a water sample with the acid from the burette. Why? Because we are calculating the alkalinity. Here exactly opposite we have to do. Now we are imagining that water contains the acidic material. Acidic means H plus ions, and with that we have to titrate the base, that is NaOH from the burette. So only one change we have to do. In the burette we have to fill NaOH, and that we have to titrate with the water sample to calculate the acidity. So A is nothing but the ml of NaOH needed to neutralize, B is the normality of NaOH, and V is nothing but the volume of water sample taken for the titration. So by using this titration method, we can calculate the alkalinity as well as the acidity of that particular water. Now what happened, why it is necessary? As we know, more the acidic water, it may causes the corrosion to the boiler material. Simultaneously, if the water is more alkaline, it also causes the problem like caustic embrittlement, or it may damage to the body of the boiler. Third one is estimation of chlorides by Mohr's method. The chloride ions are present in water in the form of calcium chloride, magnesium chloride, or sodium chloride, etc. In Mohr's method, water sample reacted with the AgNO3, which form white PPT of AgCl. Now what we have to do? See, we are imagining that a water may contains the chloride in the form of CaCl2, MgCl2, or NaCl. This water we have to titrate with the AgNO3. Now why? When we are titrating the water sample with the AgNO3 from the burette, Ag means silver gets complex with the chloride ion if present in the water and convert into white PPT of AgCl. So if the PPT is white, it indicates yes, water contains the chloride ions. Let us discuss the reaction. Now look at here. Just take an example. If water contains a sodium chloride, that water sample we have to titrate it with AgNO3. Obviously what will happen here, we know that AgNO3 when titrated with the chloride, it convert into AgCl PPT. This AgCl white PPT is formed and we are getting NaNO3. So this white PPT indicates that yes, the amount of chloride ions are present. So the amount of AgNO3 needed is nothing but the amount of NaCl present or chloride ion present in that particular water sample. So strength of chloride ions are calculated by A into N into 35.5 into 1000 ppm. Now what is by A? A is nothing but the volume of titrant used and N is nothing but the normality of AgNO3 solution. So A is nothing but the amount of AgNO3 and N is nothing but its normality. Next is ill effect of hard water in boiler. Now, in the previous slides, we have discussed the different parameters. Now, why it is necessary to determine the alkalinity, acidity or chloride ion? Because it directly affecting the body or the working of the boiler. So, there are some ill effects of hard water in boiler. Let us discuss, or we can get from this diagram. Now look at here. This is a boiler in which if a water is used is a hard, it can damage to the inner walls of the boiler and ultimately the working of the boiler gets decreases. The water used in a boiler for generation of steam is called as a boiler feed water. Due to the presence of hard salts in water causes many problems in a boiler. Now what are those problems? Let us start with the first is a sludge and scale formation. Sludge, the slimy and loose deposit of precipitated salts called as a sludge. It forms by the substance like MgCl2, magnesium sulfate or calcium chloride. Slum is the slimy or loose deposit PPT formed in the boiler water. It is of course due to the hard water, salt present in the water. Now if water is a hard, it may contains a different type of salts. Some salts form loose PPT, slimy PPT, and some salts are form hard PPT, adhered PPT. If the PPT is slimy or loose, it is called as a sludge. Now look at here. So this is the wall of the boiler, and in that water is taken. If a slimy loose precipitated are formed within that water, then we can call it as what? It is a sludge. Sludge are formed at the cooler part of the boiler mainly, and sludge can be removed by using brush or acid wash easily because they are very loose, slimy. It is not adhered, and that's why we can easily remove it from the boiler. But it also causes many problems to the boiler if sludges are present in the water. Second is a scale. Now scale is the another part of the PPT. If the PPT is hard and strong, and if it is coated inside the boiler, adhered, very difficult to remove, then that PPT is called as a scale. Look at here. See, this is a black colored wall of the scale. Inside the wall of the boiler, see, it is adhered, it is not loose, it is a very strong hard PPT is formed, then it is called as a scale. Scales are hard substances which sticks very firmly to the inner surfaces of the boiler wall. Scales are difficult to remove even with the help of a hammer and chisel. So example of the salts those are responsible for the scale formation is calcium sulfate, calcium carbonate, magnesium hydroxide. These are the salts mainly responsible for the formation of a scale. Now if sludges and scales are formed in within the inside wall of the boiler or in the water, it directly affecting the working of the boiler. It may causes the many problem, maybe explosion may happens, or it consume more energy and it will not form steam easily, so many problems are arises. What are the disadvantages of the scale? First is the wastage of fuel. Why? Because scales are formed inside the wall of the boiler. When we heat the boiler from outside, it will not transfer or not allow to transform that heat towards the water. Ultimately, we required more fuel to heat the boiler to get the steam. Lowering safety of the boiler, as we are heating more and more, it directly affecting on the safety of the boiler, and it may happens the danger of the explosion. Ultimately the life of a boiler become short. Second ill effect is caustic embrittlement. Look at here, these are the two caustic embrittlement products. Look at here, these are the two iron plates and one rod is there, and due to the deposition of the caustic, this it damages here. Now it is the phenomena during which the boiler material becomes brittle due to the accumulation of the caustic substances. So the brittleness of the that boiler material, especially iron material, is takes place due to the accumulation of the caustic substances. Caustic means that alkaline or basic substances. Now look at here, this is the example of Na2CO3. Na2CO3 means sodium carbonate, it is a base or alkaline. If it reacted with the water, it convert into 2NaOH. NaOH we called as a caustic plus CO2, and this NaOH get deposited into the small hair cracks of these material of the boiler, and hence it becomes more and more brittle. So it ultimately reduces the bonding between iron material, and it get deposited into between two iron material, and what happens there, it become more and more brittle. It is formed at the boiler parts like vents, valves, etc., where the cavities are possible to form, and so ultimately the caustic embrittlement is easily formed. So what you learn from today's lecture? Water quality parameters like acidity, alkalinity and chlorides, ill effects in which sludge and scales, caustic embrittlement. Thank you. Save water, save life.